I never imagined that someone I trusted deeply, Clara Benson, would become my worst enemy. It started with subtle comments to mutual friends, planted doubts, and small distortions of truth, but soon escalated to full-on attempts to ruin my reputation. Shock hit me when I discovered she had spread lies that jeopardized my relationships, my career opportunities, and even my personal credibility. Numbness followed, but beneath that, a quiet determination grew. She had underestimated me. As I continue, please subscribe, comment, like, and share this story. I sat in the coffee shop where Clara and I had met every Friday for 3 years, staring at the empty chair across from me. She wasn't coming today, or ever again. 2 hours earlier, my colleague Jessica had pulled me aside at work to share something that made my blood run cold. "I don't know if I should tell you this," she had whispered, "but Clara called me last night. She said you've been stealing ideas from clients and taking credit for other people's work." The accusation was so absurd and hurtful that I couldn't initially process it. Clara was supposed to be my best friend, my confidant, the person who knew better than anyone how hard I worked and how ethical I was in my career as a marketing consultant. Yet here she was, spreading vicious lies to people in my professional network, lies that could destroy everything I had built over the past 5 years. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach by someone I loved and trusted completely. The betrayal cut deeper than any professional setback could have, because it came from someone who was supposed to protect and support me, not systematically destroy my reputation and livelihood. I ordered another coffee and sat there for an hour, trying to understand how my closest friendship had turned into such a calculated attack on everything I had worked to achieve. Looking back over the past 6 months, I should have seen the warning signs that had been building like storm clouds on the horizon. Clara had started making small, cutting remarks about my success that she disguised as jokes or friendly teasing. When I landed the Morrison account, my biggest client to date, she had commented that I was lucky or suggested that they probably didn't know what they were getting into. When I received the Professional Excellence Award from our industry association, she had found ways to minimize the achievement, pointing out that the competition wasn't very strong that year. I had dismissed these comments as Clara struggling with her own career disappointments. She had been passed over for several promotions at her firm and was dealing with a particularly difficult boss who seemed determined to undermine her confidence. I thought she was just going through a rough patch and taking out her frustrations on the people closest to her, the way stressed people sometimes do. What I didn't realize was that her resentment had festered into something much darker and more deliberate over time. Clara wasn't just having a bad year or dealing with temporary jealousy. She was actively sabotaging my success because she couldn't stand watching me thrive while she struggled. The friend I had supported through every setback and celebrated with through every victory had become my enemy, and she was using her intimate knowledge of my life and work to destroy me systematically. That weekend, I spent hours reaching out to other mutual friends and colleagues to see what Clara had been telling them about me. What I discovered was shocking in its scope and sophistication. Clara had been conducting a months-long campaign to destroy my professional reputation, spreading different lies to different people in my network with the precision of a military operation. She told some people that I was dishonest and regularly took credit for other people's ideas and strategies. She told others that I was unprofessional and difficult to work with, creating drama and conflict in team environments. She suggested to some that I had mental health issues that affected my judgment and reliability as a business partner. Most damaging were the lies she told about my personal life, claiming that I had serious financial problems, unstable relationships, and substance abuse issues that made me unreliable and untrustworthy. Clara had crafted these lies carefully, mixing small grains of truth with complete fabrications to make her stories believable to people who knew me but not intimately. She knew enough about my life, my work style, and my personality to include details that would make her lies seem credible to people who didn't spend daily time with me. The calculated nature of her betrayal was breathtaking. This wasn't impulsive gossip or jealous comments made in moments of frustration, but a strategic assault on everything I had worked to build over years of dedicated effort. I realized immediately that confronting Clara directly would be pointless and potentially dangerous to my already damaged reputation. If she was willing to spread lies about me to mutual friends and professional contacts, she would certainly use any confrontation as evidence that I was unstable, paranoid, or difficult to deal with. Instead, I decided to gather evidence of her lies and build a comprehensive case that would expose her behavior while protecting myself from further damage and retaliation. I started by documenting everything I could remember about her recent comments and behavior, creating a detailed timeline of her increasing hostility toward my success and the specific lies she had been spreading about my character and professional conduct. I reached out carefully to people she had contacted, questioning them diplomatically about what Clara had said without revealing that I knew she was spreading false information about me. I also began gathering concrete evidence that would disprove her specific claims about my work and character. Portfolio samples that proved my originality and creativity, testimonials from satisfied clients who could vouch for my professionalism and integrity, and documentation of my professional achievements and ethical standards in business dealings. Most importantly, I started the delicate process of rebuilding relationships that Clara had damaged, reaching out to people in my network to share the truth about my work and character before her lies could take deeper root and cause permanent damage to my career and reputation. The most challenging part of fighting Clara's systematic lies was that she had positioned herself as a concerned friend who was reluctantly sharing information about my supposed problems out of genuine care and worry. When people confronted me about her accusations, they often did so with sympathy and offers to help rather than outright hostility or suspicion. This made it extremely difficult to defend myself without seeming paranoid, ungrateful, or unstable. Clara's strategy was brilliant in its psychological manipulation. By framing her lies as worried observations from a close friend who had intimate knowledge of my life, she made them seem more credible and authoritative than if they had come from a casual acquaintance or business competitor. She also made me look bad for defending myself against what appeared to be genuine concern from people who cared about my well-being. I had to find ways to correct the false narratives she had created without attacking Clara directly or seeming defensive about what others perceived as legitimate concerns about my mental health, financial stability, or professional ethics. This required extremely careful communication that focused on facts and evidence rather than emotional responses to her betrayal. I started sharing positive testimonials from recent clients and colleagues, documentation of my professional achievements and recognition, and evidence of my ethical business practices and community involvement. I also began being more proactive about networking and relationship building to counteract the social and professional isolation that Clara's lies were creating in my business community. 3 months into my campaign to rebuild my reputation and expose Clara's lies, I made a disturbing discovery that completely changed my understanding of her motivations. Clara's lies about me weren't just motivated by jealousy or personal resentment. They were part of a calculated business strategy to steal my clients and professional opportunities for her own benefit. Through careful investigation and conversations with mutual contacts, I learned that she had been using the false information she spread about me to position herself as a better, more reliable alternative for potential clients and collaborators. She would warn people about my supposed unreliability, unprofessionalism, or ethical problems, and then suggest that she could provide the same services with better results and fewer complications. Clara had essentially turned our friendship into a business opportunity, using her access to my professional network and intimate knowledge of my client relationships to systematically steal my work and prospects. She knew which clients I was pursuing, what strategies I was developing, and what weaknesses or challenges I was facing, and she used all of this inside information to undermine my efforts while promoting her own services. This discovery transformed my understanding of her betrayal from personal jealousy and meanness to professional theft and fraud. She wasn't just trying to hurt me emotionally out of bitterness. She was trying to destroy my career specifically so she could benefit financially from my downfall and take over my market position. With this new understanding of Clara's true motivations, I decided to set a careful trap that would provide undeniable evidence of her lies, manipulation, and attempts at professional sabotage. I created a fake business opportunity, a potential high-value client looking for comprehensive marketing services, and shared the information with Clara during one of our increasingly strained and infrequent conversations. I presented this fictional opportunity as something I was excited about but slightly worried about handling alone, knowing that Clara would see it as a chance to both undermine me and steal a lucrative contract for herself. As I expected, she immediately began her usual pattern of spreading lies about my qualifications and reliability while positioning herself as a better choice for the supposed client. I recorded these conversations carefully, ensuring I was legally compliant with recording laws in our state, and documented her attempts to sabotage my fake opportunity while promoting herself as the superior alternative. The evidence I gathered was absolutely perfect and undeniable. Clara clearly describing fictional problems with my work that she knew to be false, inventing detailed stories about dissatisfied clients and professional failures that had never occurred, and making specific false claims about my business practices, ethical standards, and professional competence. She also revealed her broader strategy for stealing my clients and systematically damaging my reputation, essentially providing me with a comprehensive recorded confession of her months-long campaign of professional sabotage and personal betrayal. With overwhelming evidence of Clara's lies and manipulation in hand, I carefully planned a public confrontation that would expose her behavior to the people she had deceived while protecting my own reputation and demonstrating my professionalism under pressure. I organized what appeared to be a casual networking presentation at our monthly industry association meeting, ostensibly focusing on the importance of professional ethics and honest communication in building lasting business relationships. Many of our mutual professional contacts would be present, including people Clara had lied to about me and potential clients she was trying to steal from me. During the presentation, I shared examples of the lies that had been spread about me recently, the concrete evidence proving these claims were completely false, and comprehensive documentation of the systematic campaign to damage my reputation and steal my business opportunities. I didn't mention Clara by name initially, but the specific details and timeline made it abundantly clear to everyone present who was responsible for the false accusations and professional sabotage. Clara was in the audience and became visibly uncomfortable as I presented evidence that directly contradicted every story she had been telling people about my character, competence, and professional ethics. When I finally revealed the recordings of her confessing to her lies, manipulation, and deliberate attempts to steal my clients, the reaction from the audience was immediate, powerful, and devastating to her reputation. The aftermath of Clara's public exposure was swift and comprehensive, destroying both her professional reputation and her personal credibility in our business community. People who had trusted her information about me and made business decisions based on her false claims felt betrayed, angry, and embarrassed that they had been manipulated into participating in what was clearly a calculated scheme to destroy an innocent person's career for financial gain. Word spread quickly through our industry about Clara's dishonest and manipulative behavior, with many people sharing their own experiences of suspicious or inconsistent information they had received from her about other colleagues and competitors. Several potential clients who had been considering working with Clara based on her criticism of my work immediately withdrew their interest and reached out to me directly to apologize for believing her lies and to discuss potential business relationships. Clara's own employer became aware of her unethical behavior and began questioning her integrity and judgment in other areas of her work, particularly regarding client relationships and competitive intelligence gathering. Within weeks of the exposure, she was facing professional consequences that perfectly mirrored what she had tried to inflict on me: lost opportunities, damaged relationships, and a reputation for dishonesty and manipulation that would follow her throughout her career. The poetic justice was remarkable. The lies and deceptions she had used as weapons against me became the instruments of her own professional and personal destruction. 6 months after exposing Clara's systematic campaign of lies and professional sabotage, my business was not just recovered, but stronger and more successful than it had ever been before. The publicity around Clara's dishonest behavior had actually increased awareness of my work and brought me new clients who specifically sought me out because they admired how I had handled the situation with evidence, professionalism, and strategic thinking rather than emotional retaliation and personal drama. People throughout my industry respected the fact that I had documented everything carefully, built an airtight case, and exposed the truth without resorting to personal attacks, character assassination, or unprofessional behavior. My reputation for integrity, ethical conduct, and grace under pressure was stronger than it had been before Clara's attack, because I had been tested under extreme circumstances and proven my character definitively. I had also learned valuable lessons about protecting myself from manipulation and recognizing the warning signs of toxic relationships, both personal and professional. The experience had been painful, stressful, and emotionally devastating while it was happening, but it had ultimately made me a better businessperson, a more discerning judge of character, and a stronger advocate for truth and professional ethics. Clara's calculated attempt to destroy my career and steal my success had instead made me more successful, more respected, and more influential than I had ever been before her betrayal. A year after the confrontation, I learned that Clara had been forced to leave our city entirely and relocate to a different market where her reputation for dishonesty and manipulation wasn't widely known. Even in her new location, however, she was struggling to build a successful practice because word had spread through industry networks about her unethical behavior and professional misconduct. Several potential employers and clients had withdrawn offers after conducting background checks or speaking with references from our shared professional community. Clara had also lost several long-term friendships and professional relationships beyond just our own, as people realized that her pattern of lies and manipulation had affected other relationships and business dealings over the years. The comprehensive nature of her downfall was both satisfying and sobering. It demonstrated that sustained dishonest behavior eventually catches up with people, but it also showed how much damage one person can cause before being held accountable for their actions. I felt vindicated by Clara's consequences, but I also felt sad about the waste of talent and potential that her choices represented. She had been genuinely skilled at marketing and client relations, but her inability to compete ethically and honestly had destroyed everything positive she might have achieved in our field. 2 years later, I was approached by several colleagues who had heard about my experience with Clara and wanted advice about dealing with similar situations in their own careers. It turned out that professional sabotage, reputation destruction, and business theft disguised as friendship or mentorship were more common in our industry than I had realized. I began offering informal consultations to people who suspected they were being targeted by unethical competitors or manipulative colleagues, helping them gather evidence, document false claims, and develop strategies for protecting their reputations while exposing the truth about their attackers. This work was deeply satisfying because it allowed me to use the painful lessons I had learned from Clara's betrayal to help other people avoid or overcome similar challenges. I also started speaking at industry conferences about professional ethics, relationship management, and the importance of building businesses on honest foundations rather than tearing down competitors through lies and manipulation. The presentations were always well received, and many attendees shared their own experiences with unethical behavior in business relationships. 3 years after Clara's exposure, I was invited to serve on the ethics committee of our professional association, partly because of my experience dealing with systematic professional misconduct and partly because of my reputation for handling conflicts with evidence and integrity rather than emotion and retaliation. The position allowed me to help develop policies and procedures for addressing complaints about unethical behavior, professional sabotage, and fraudulent business practices within our industry. We created clear guidelines for investigating allegations of misconduct, established support resources for people targeted by professional harassment or reputation destruction, and implemented educational programs about ethical business practices and conflict resolution. The work was meaningful because it helped create systemic protections for other professionals who might face the kind of calculated attack that Clara had launched against me. We also developed partnerships with legal experts who could advise association members about their rights and options when dealing with professional defamation, business theft, or other forms of career sabotage. Looking back on the entire experience with Clara 5 years later, I could see how her betrayal had actually transformed my career and my understanding of business relationships in positive ways that I never would have expected during the crisis. The experience had forced me to develop new skills in documentation, investigation, and strategic communication that proved valuable in many other contexts throughout my work. I had learned to be more careful about protecting confidential information and more discerning about the people I trusted with sensitive business details. I had also discovered reserves of strength, resilience, and strategic thinking that I hadn't known I possessed before being tested under such extreme circumstances. Most importantly, I had learned that truth and evidence, when properly documented and presented, are more powerful than lies and manipulation, no matter how sophisticated or well-planned the attack might be. Clara had thought she could destroy my reputation and steal my success through calculated deception and emotional manipulation, but she had underestimated both my ability to fight back and the ultimate power of truth to prevail over falsehood. The skills and insights I had gained from fighting Clara's lies and professional sabotage had applications far beyond just protecting myself from unethical competitors. I began working with small business owners and independent professionals to help them develop strategies for protecting their reputations, managing competitive threats, and building sustainable success based on ethical practices and genuine value creation rather than destructive competition. I also started mentoring young professionals entering our field, teaching them how to recognize and avoid toxic relationships, how to document their work and protect their intellectual property, and how to build careers on solid foundations that couldn't be undermined by jealous or unethical colleagues. The mentoring work was particularly rewarding because it allowed me to share practical wisdom gained through difficult experience while helping the next generation avoid some of the pitfalls and challenges that I had faced. Many of my mentees went on to build successful practices of their own, and several credited our conversations about professional ethics and relationship management with helping them navigate challenging situations in their own careers. 10 years after Clara's systematic campaign against me, I had become a recognized expert in professional ethics and business relationship management within our industry and beyond. I was frequently invited to speak at conferences, consulted by business schools developing curriculum about professional conduct, and called upon by organizations dealing with internal conflicts or ethical violations. My experience with Clara had become a case study in how to respond to professional betrayal and systematic reputation destruction with evidence, strategy, and integrity rather than emotional retaliation or unethical counterattacks. The story was used in training programs for business professionals, ethics courses at universities, and workshops about conflict resolution in competitive industries. I had also written several articles about the experience that were published in professional journals and business magazines, reaching thousands of readers who were dealing with similar challenges in their own careers. The transformation from victim of professional sabotage to expert in ethical business practices was remarkable and gratifying, representing a complete reversal of Clara's intended outcome for her campaign against me. Looking back on Clara's betrayal and its aftermath, I realized that her attempt to destroy my reputation had actually given me a platform and expertise that made me more influential and successful than I ever would have been without her attack. The experience had forced me to develop deep knowledge about professional ethics, reputation management, and strategic response to competitive threats that became valuable assets throughout my career. I had learned to see challenges and conflicts as opportunities for growth and demonstration of character rather than just obstacles to overcome or endure. Most importantly, I had discovered that maintaining integrity and fighting for truth, even when it's difficult and costly in the short term, ultimately creates stronger foundations for lasting success than taking shortcuts or compromising ethical standards. Clara had hoped that her lies and manipulation would destroy my career and open opportunities for her own advancement, but the opposite had occurred. Her dishonest behavior had destroyed her own prospects while elevating mine to levels I never would have achieved without the test and vindication of surviving her systematic attack. 15 years later, I was established as one of the most respected professionals in our field, known for ethical practices, strategic thinking, and the ability to help others navigate complex challenges with integrity and wisdom. My business had grown into a successful consultancy that helped organizations develop ethical cultures, manage competitive pressures, and build sustainable success based on value creation rather than destructive competition. I employed a team of talented professionals who shared my commitment to honest dealing and ethical business practices, and we had built a reputation for excellence that attracted clients from across the industry and beyond. The firm's success was built on the foundation of trust and integrity that I had learned to value so highly during my conflict with Clara, proving that honest dealing and ethical behavior were not just morally superior, but also more practical and profitable in the long term than the dishonest shortcuts that some people chose to pursue. 20 years after Clara's betrayal, I occasionally received updates about her career and life through mutual acquaintances in the industry. She had never fully recovered from the reputation damage caused by the exposure of her lies and professional misconduct, and she had spent years moving from one position to another, never able to build the kind of lasting success or professional relationships that she had tried to steal from me. Her pattern of dishonest behavior had continued in various forms, creating new conflicts and destroyed relationships wherever she worked. The long-term consequences of her choices served as a powerful reminder that unethical behavior might provide short-term advantages, but it ultimately creates more problems and limitations than it solves. Her career had become a cautionary tale about the importance of building success on honest foundations rather than trying to tear down others to advance yourself, while my own success demonstrated the power of maintaining integrity even when facing severe challenges and personal attacks. As I reflected on the entire experience and its long-term impact on my life and career, I felt grateful for the lessons I had learned and the strength I had discovered through surviving Clara's systematic attempt to destroy my reputation and steal my success. The experience had been painful and challenging while it was happening, but it had ultimately made me a better business person, a more discerning judge of character, and a more effective advocate for ethical practices in professional relationships. I had learned that individual integrity and strategic thinking could prevail over coordinated attacks and sophisticated manipulation when supported by careful documentation and persistent commitment to truth. Most importantly, I had discovered that surviving and overcoming betrayal with grace and evidence rather than bitterness and retaliation created opportunities for growth, influence, and positive impact that extended far beyond just personal vindication or career recovery. The experience with Clara had taught me that true strength lies not in avoiding challenges or conflicts, but in responding to them with wisdom, preparation, and unwavering commitment to ethical principles. When faced with systematic lies and professional sabotage, I had chosen to fight back with truth, evidence, and strategic thinking rather than emotional retaliation or unethical counterattacks. This choice had required more effort and patience in the short term, but it had created lasting advantages and opportunities that purely reactive or vengeful responses never could have achieved. The vindication of seeing Clara's lies exposed and her reputation destroyed was satisfying, but the greater victory was the transformation of my own career and the positive impact I was able to have on others facing similar challenges. Her betrayal had become the catalyst for my greatest professional achievements and most meaningful contributions to my field and community. Today, as I looked back on the journey from victim of Clara's lies to respected expert in professional ethics and relationship management, I felt proud of the choices I had made and the person I had become through navigating that crisis with integrity and strategic wisdom. Clara's attempt to destroy my reputation and steal my success had failed completely, while my commitment to truth and ethical behavior had created opportunities and achievements that exceeded anything I had imagined possible before her attack. The woman who had tried to make me a pariah in my profession had inadvertently helped me become a leader and advocate whose influence extended far beyond our original industry and geographic area. Her lies had been intended to silence and marginalize me, but they had instead given me a powerful story and expertise that resonated with people facing similar challenges throughout the business world. The skills, insights, and reputation I had gained through fighting Clara's systematic campaign of professional sabotage had become the foundation for a career dedicated to helping others build ethical, sustainable success while protecting themselves from manipulation and destructive competition. I had learned that individual integrity, when supported by strategic thinking and careful preparation, was more powerful than sophisticated lies and coordinated attacks. The experience had also taught me that challenges and conflicts, when approached with wisdom and ethical principles, could become opportunities for growth, demonstration of character, and positive impact on others facing similar struggles. Clara's betrayal had been intended to end my career and elevate hers, but the opposite outcome demonstrated the ultimate futility of building success on dishonest foundations while trying to tear down others who had earned their achievements through honest effort and ethical behavior. 25 years after Clara's initial betrayal, I was recognized as one of the most influential voices in our industry on topics related to professional ethics, competitive strategy, and ethical leadership in business relationships. My experience surviving and overcoming her systematic lies had become legendary within our professional community, studied in business schools and referenced in academic research about professional misconduct and reputation management. The case had demonstrated conclusively that truth and evidence, when properly documented and strategically presented, could prevail over even the most sophisticated campaigns of lies and manipulation. Young professionals entering our field often sought my mentorship specifically because they wanted to learn how to build careers that could withstand competitive pressures and personal attacks while maintaining ethical standards and professional integrity. The transformation from victim to expert to leader had been complete and permanent, representing a total reversal of Clara's intended outcome for her campaign against me. Today, as I reflected on the complete journey from Clara's betrayal to my eventual success and influence, I felt grateful for every difficult lesson and challenging moment that had shaped my character and career. Her systematic lies and professional sabotage had been intended to destroy my reputation and steal my opportunities, but they had instead become the catalyst for achievements and impact that I never could have imagined when I was sitting alone in that coffee shop, trying to understand how my closest friend had become my worst enemy. The experience had taught me that true success comes not from tearing down others or taking shortcuts through unethical behavior, but from building something genuine and valuable that can withstand any attack or challenge. Clara's lies had been powerful enough to create temporary damage and significant stress, but they had not been strong enough to overcome consistent truth, strategic preparation, and unwavering commitment to ethical principles. Her attempt to silence me had instead amplified my voice, her effort to marginalize me had elevated my influence, and her betrayal had ultimately become the foundation for my greatest professional achievements and most meaningful contributions to my field and community. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, share this video, and activate the notification bell for more interesting stories.